My heart stopped when I saw my little girl's bloody face. Her front teeth were gone. Standing over her was Mrs. Baker, the homeowner association president, her fist still clenched. "People like you do not belong here," she spat. That day I decided to fight back. Before watching full video, comment below from where you watch it. Also like and subscribe for more stories. I heard my daughter scream and knew something was very wrong. It was not her normal voice. It was filled with fear. I dropped the laundry I was folding and ran outside to our front yard. What I saw made me stop in shock. My little Olivia, only 11 years old, with Down syndrome, was lying on the grass with blood coming from her mouth. Her yellow dress was stained red. Standing over her was Mrs. Baker, the head of our neighborhood association, her hand still made into a fist. "What did you do to her?" I shouted, running to my daughter. When I gently turned Olivia's face to look at me, I saw something horrible. Her 2 front teeth were gone, and blood was everywhere. "She was on my property," Mrs. Baker said, pointing to the small patch of grass between our houses. "I have told you many times to keep that child under control." I could not believe what I was hearing. "You hit my daughter. You hit a disabled child." Mrs. Baker's face showed only disgust. "People like you should not live in Oak Hill Estates," she said loudly as neighbors started to gather around us. "You do not belong with us. That girl does not belong here." Olivia held my hand tight, her tears mixed with blood on her face. "Mommy," she whispered with swollen lips, "the mean lady says I am not allowed to live in our house." Something in me broke at that moment. This was not just about teeth. This was about my daughter's right to exist without being afraid. "Call 911. I told Mr. Wilson from next door. Tell them we need police and an ambulance. My child was attacked." Mrs. Baker laughed. "Attacked? Do not be silly. I barely touched her. She fell on her own." She fixed her expensive shirt. "And good luck with that call. My husband plays golf with the police chief every weekend." That is when I knew this would not be easy. This was going to be a fight. Officer Taylor arrived quickly. Mrs. Baker was already surrounded by her friends from the homeowner association, all of them talking quietly together. "She attacked my child," I said right away, still holding Olivia, who was still bleeding. "She knocked out her teeth because she stepped on the grass." "That is not true," Mrs. Baker interrupted. "The girl was destroying my flowers. I just told her to stop and she fell. You know how these special kids are. They are clumsy." My anger grew. "My daughter has Down syndrome. She does not destroy things. And she was not near your flowers. And even if she was," see Mrs. Baker cut in. Talking to Officer Taylor, "they admit they cannot control the child. This has been a problem in our neighborhood for a long time. We have to think about our home values." I was shocked when Officer Taylor looked uncomfortable. He glanced at Mrs. Baker, then back at me. "Ma'am, did anyone see what happened?" I looked around desperately. Several neighbors were watching, but they all looked away. They knew Mrs. Baker had power in our community. Her husband knew important people, and she controlled the association. That could make their lives difficult. With fines and rules, no one is going to speak up. The silence was awful. "I need to take my daughter to the hospital," I finally said, picking up Olivia. "But this is not over." Mrs. Baker smiled coldly. "I think it is. And maybe this will make you think about whether this neighborhood is right for your situation." As I carried my crying child to the car, I heard Mrs. Baker telling the neighbors, "Let this remind everyone that we have standards in Oak Hill Estates. Standards we all agreed to when we moved here." The emergency room doctor was shocked when I explained what happened. "This is assault," he said firmly, aiming at Olivia's mouth. 2 teeth completely knocked out, damage to the gums. "I have to report this." "Please do," I said, holding Olivia's hand as she cried. The police officer did not seem to want to help. The doctor frowned. "Let me guess. Oak Hill Estates. Mrs. Baker. I was surprised you know her." "Unfortunately," he sighed. "My sister lived there for a year before she could not take the bullying anymore. That woman runs the place like she owns it. But hitting a child is absolutely wrong," he agreed. "And I am going to make sure this report goes straight to the district attorney, not just the local police." For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a little hope. That hope did not last long. When we got home that evening, an orange paper was taped to our front door. Notice of violation. Unapproved yard changes. Fine $500. Second offense will be $1,000. I tore it down in disbelief. Our yard had not changed in the 3 years we had lived here. By morning, there was another notice. Violation. Unapproved house. Paint color fine. $750. We had not painted anything by the end of the week. We had 7 violation notices adding up to over $4,000 in fines. The message was clear. Mrs. Baker was going to force us out. What she did not know was that before Olivia was born, before my husband died from cancer and left us struggling with money, I had been a civil rights lawyer. I still had connections and I still knew how to fight. My old colleague, Mark Johnson, listened with growing anger as I told him everything. This is clear discrimination, he said, looking at the violation notices. They are targeting you because of Olivia's disability. That is illegal under housing laws. Can we prove it? I asked. These fake violations are a good start, he said, but we need more. We need to show a pattern, and we need witnesses. Nobody will speak against her, I said bitterly. They are all afraid. Mark smiled grimly. Then we will have to give them a reason to be more afraid of staying quiet. Our first move was simple. I put up a small security camera pointing at our front yard, completely legal, but positioned to record any interaction near our property line. Then we filed a formal complaint with the housing department claiming discrimination. We also filed a lawsuit against Mrs. Baker personally and the homeowner association for assault and harassment. But my most powerful weapon came from someone I did not expect. The day after we filed the complaints, I got an anonymous email with a video. The message simply said, "We are not all like her." The video showed a homeowners meeting from 2 months earlier. There was Mrs. Baker standing in front of the homeowners saying, "I do not care what the law says about reasonable accommodations. If we let one of those disabled kids in, house prices drop, period. We need to make it clear that Oak Hill is not the right place for certain people." Several homeowners nodded in agreement. One person I could not see who asked, "But could we not get sued for discrimination?" Mrs. Baker laughed. "My husband handles these things. Trust me, no one is going to win a lawsuit against us. There are ways to make problems disappear without ever saying what we really mean." I sent the video to Mark immediately. "Is this enough?" His response was quick. "It is exactly what we need, but we should go bigger." Justice for Olivia went online the next day. A simple website with the photo of my daughter's bloodied face. The doctors report the video from the meeting and copies of all the fake violation notices. The page had a simple message: "Mrs. Baker, head of Oak Hill Estates, hit my 11-year-old daughter with Down syndrome for stepping on her lawn, then told us we do not belong in the neighborhood. Now, she is using the homeowner association to try to force us out. This is what discrimination looks like." I shared the link on every social media site I could find, tagging local news stations and civil rights groups. By evening, our story had been shared thousands of times. By morning, there was a news van outside our house. The reporter, a young woman named Sarah Chin, was direct. "This is very disturbing," she said after interviewing us. "Has the homeowner association or Mrs. Baker given any comment?" "Nothing official," I said, "but there have been consequences." The consequences had started shortly after midnight when someone threw a brick through our front window with a note, "Leave or worse." I called the police right away. This time a different officer responded, Officer Rivera, an older woman with kind eyes and a serious attitude. "This is getting worse," she said, taking pictures of the brick and note, "and by chance, it matches 3 other cases in this neighborhood over the past year. All families who complained against the homeowner association." "You know about this?" I asked, surprised. "We have been building a case quietly," she admitted, "but no one would make an official statement. They were too afraid of what might happen." She looked at me. "Seriously? Your website changed that?" My phone has been ringing all night, with Oak Hill residents wanting to tell their stories. For the first time in days, I felt real hope. The district attorney called me personally the next morning. We are charging Mrs. Baker with assault on a vulnerable person, harassment, and conspiracy to violate civil rights, she said directly. And we are opening an investigation into the entire homeowner board. Thank you, I whispered, watching Olivia through the window. She was sitting on the couch, afraid to go outside since the attack. She still would not smile, keeping her hand over her mouth whenever she talked. Do not thank me yet, the district attorney said. Seriously, cases like this get ugly before they get better. Are you ready for that? I thought about Olivia, about the fear in her eyes, about how she now believed she did not belong in our home. I am not just ready. I said I am counting on it, just as the district attorney warned things got worse before they got better. Mrs. Baker was arrested that afternoon and released on bail within hours. By evening, a group of her supporters had gathered outside our house holding signs with messages like, "Protect our property values," and "Homeowners have rights too." What they did not expect was the counter-protest that formed in response. Dozens of neighbors I had barely talked to created a human shield around our property, holding their own signs. Olivia belongs here, and no child deserves violence. The news media recorded it all. By nightfall, our local story had become national news. The most surprising ally came from the enemy's side. Mr. Baker, Mrs. Baker's husband, came to our door 3 days after his wife's arrest. He looked tired, with red eyes. "May I come in?" he asked quietly. I hesitated, then nodded, keeping myself between him and Olivia, who was watching TV in the living room. "I want to say sorry," he said. Once we were sitting at the kitchen table, "not just for my wife, but for myself. I let this happen. I knew what was going on in this neighborhood, and I did nothing to stop it." "Why tell me this now?" I asked with suspicion. He placed a small drive on the table, "Because there is more, much more. Financial records showing homeowners' money being misused. Emails discussing how to drive out unwanted residents, records of bribes to local officials." He shook his head. "I cannot be part of this anymore. Why should I trust you?" "You should not," he said simply, "but you should use this information. My wife hurt your child. Nothing can make that right, but maybe this can help make sure it does not happen to anyone else." After he left, I immediately called Mark and the district attorney. The trial began 6 months later. By then, 5 of the 7 homeowners board members had taken plea deals to testify against Mrs. Baker. The evidence was overwhelming. The courtroom was full. Families from the neighborhood, disability rights advocates, and reporters from across the country. Mrs. Baker sat with a blank face at the defense table, her expensive lawyer whispering urgently to her. When Olivia took the stand, the entire room went quiet. Her new dental implants were still being adjusted, but she spoke clearly as she described what happened that day. "I was just picking a dandelion," she said, "to make a wish, and the mean lady came out and said bad words. She said I was dirty and wrong, and should not be allowed to live there. Then she hit me very hard." Olivia's voice broke. "It hurt so much. And then my teeth were gone, and there was blood. And she said I deserved it." There was not a dry eye in the courtroom except for Mrs. Baker's. When the verdict came, it was clear guilty on all counts. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, gave the sentence 5 years in prison, $2 million in damages to Olivia, and Mrs. Baker can never serve on any homeowners board again. The court also orders a federal investigation into the discrimination practices of Oak Hill Estates Homeowner Association. She concluded this kind of behavior has no place in our society. The changes came quickly after that. A new homeowners board was elected with clear rules against discrimination. The community center started inclusive programs for children of all abilities. Property values did not fall. They rose as families looked for what was now known as a welcoming, diverse neighborhood. 3 months after the trial, we held a block party. The theme suggested by our neighbors was "Everyone belongs." Olivia was shy at first, still self-conscious about her new teeth. But when the children from the neighborhood surrounded her, asking her to join their games, something wonderful happened. She smiled, a full, happy smile that reached her eyes. As I watched her play, a woman I recognized from down the street approached me. "I need to say sorry," she said quietly. "I saw what happened that day. I saw Mrs. Baker hit your daughter, and I said nothing." "Why?" I asked the question that had bothered me for months. "Fear," she admitted, "but watching you fight, watching you refuse to be driven out, it changed something in me, in all of us." She looked around at the party. "You taught us that belonging is not given to you by people like Mrs. Baker. It is something you claim for yourself." Later that night, as I tucked Olivia into bed, she asked a question that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. "Mommy, do I really belong here now? Forever?" I brushed her hair from her forehead, amazed by her strength, her courage. "You belong anywhere you want to be, my brave girl, and you always have." She smiled, her new teeth shining in the soft light. "I am glad we did not run away. I am glad we stayed and fought." "Me too," I whispered, "because sometimes the fight is not just for yourself. Sometimes it is for everyone who has ever been told they do not belong. And sometimes winning that fight changes